So as a councillor for Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, it's important that I get around the community, see what's going on. So that's what I'm doing today. Found a bit of time this week to hop on my bike, my trusty steed there, and get around Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, see what's going on. I've got a couple of updates for people. I know, based on feedback that I've had from people who subscribe to my community email newsletter, that they prefer a written update, and I can understand that, but from time to time a video update is warranted. So that's what I'm going to do today, because sometimes it's nice for people to see what's going on and see what I see as I'm out and about. And the first update that I'm going to do is on the Mindenhurst development and what's going on there. So let's flip the camera around. Massive amount going on. As you can see, the Mindenhurst Plateau, which is a Carla Holmes element, right on the horizon there in the centre of my frame. You can see there's already some homes that have gone up there. You know, it's quite standard during these developments for them to knock up some show homes, because obviously they want to start selling the properties as soon as possible. I mean, it's just a massive building site at the moment. There's the Blur Homes element here, just behind the school. Massive amount of work going on there. And then to my right is the Taylor Wimpey phase of the development. And again, massive amount of work going on there. And just so you can orientate yourself, that pile of rubble right in front of me was where the Teller Theatre was. So yeah, this is what was Princess Royal Barracks. There's a lot of excitement about the Southern Sands. They've made a huge amount of progress here. I'm not entirely sure exactly when it's going to open. The last update I got from them, which to be fair was last year, you're hoping that it would be open this summer. I think that might be a bit of an ambitious time frame, to be honest, but let's see. I certainly won't be complaining if they meet that time frame. I'm very excited about the Southern Sands opening up. You'll basically be able to walk from the top end of Deepcut, so where Dettingen Park is, all the way down to the Basingstoke Canal without really touching a road, and be able to walk through this wonderful environment. So yeah, I'm personally very excited about that. And I know a lot of other local residents will be too. And probably this Sands area, this walk area down to the canal, will actually make Deepcut a destination. And funnily enough, as I was walking around, you know, shooting content for this video earlier, I bumped into a local resident who said, "Oh, blimey, the Frog pub, you can't even get in there at the weekend, it's that busy." When all these houses are full, how are they going to cope? And my own thoughts on that is, well, actually, not a bad problem for them to have as a business. And I'm sure they'll find a way somehow to cope with the influx of people. But yeah, huge amount of excitement about this. And I, for one, can't wait for it to open. I'm at the Deepcut flight of the Basingstoke Canal, and behind me you can see the Lockkeeper's cottage. Now, I've spotted some chatter on social media from people wondering what's going to happen with the Lockkeeper's cottage, because must have been about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, Surrey County Council, who own that site, had invited expressions of interests from local businesses to see if anybody would be interested in turning this into some kind of commercial venture. Actually, they received a lot of interest, but some of the expressions were not viable or not in keeping with the local sort of environment and so on. And it was narrowed down to a couple, and I believe they have found an operator now. It's commercially sensitive, so the council are not going to go into details about that just yet. But I suspect we'll hear something very soon about what is actually going to become of this location. I think it's such a lovely site there. It would be nice to see it put to good use. I know a lot of people would love to see some kind of coffee concession here, where people can buy a cup of coffee or whatever when they're walking down here. And there's been some other ideas that local residents have put forward. All will become apparent very soon, I'm pretty sure. and as soon as I hear something, I will let everybody know. I have done an update about the Basingstoke Canal's water levels in a previous email newsletter, but people are still asking me about it, so I thought I'd just do another quick update, which is basically due to the work that's ongoing at the aqueduct just by Ashlock. So that's the Hampshire end of the Basingstoke Canal, and yeah, they're completely redoing that aqueduct, and they've basically had to dam the canal to stop the water so that they can work on that section. But of course that has had a knock-on effect further down the canal, certainly towards the Deepcut end, and actually the Brookwood end of the canal. There's also water levels are very low there too. I suspect they're going to get this open very soon because the boating season starts and they generate revenue from that. So they're going to want to get it open as quickly as possible. I'm pretty sure I'll have an update soon just to say that it has reopened. I've not been up there for a week or so. They look like they'd made a lot of progress the last time I'd had a ride up there. And maybe if I find time at the weekend, I'll go and have a look and see how they're getting on. Any excuse to go and have a ride. But yeah, Basingstoke Canal water levels are as a result of the work they're doing at the aqueduct by Ashlock, and really nice. I just thought I'd say hi to the couple I've just spoken to at this lock here. I had a really nice chat about things going on. Never met them before, but you know who you are. Thanks for stopping to chat. So this bit of art here has opinions divided in the community. I mean, I think it's a spectacular bit of art, to be honest with you, but other people consider it vandalism. Whichever side of the fence you're on, you know, you can't deny that it is quite an astounding bit of art, and certainly better than the other stuff that's on the wall. I actually bumped into the fella while he was doing this, and I said to him, "Oh, did you have to go over the you know, the art that was there before?" Because it was art and it was pretty stunning and had been there a very long time. I'd never been able to get to the bottom of who was responsible for it, because I just wanted to talk to them and find out what inspired them to do it. I suspect, I might be wrong, but I suspect it was probably a recruit that was based at Princess Royal Barracks sometime in the past. But I moved here in 2003 and it was there then. And I suspect it was probably there a lot longer than that, but this particular graffiti artist decided to go over it, which was not ideal. But anyway, just thought I'd show that to residents, and by all means let me know what you think. I'm at the Colford Bridge Road junction of Hamersmore Road, and yet again, Blue 2, I've got the road up, and residents are quite rightly cheesed off about the amount of times this road has been up since 2022 when they first started this project till now. And I bumped into one of the project managers who told me that basically one of the contractors that originally laid the cable didn't do it right. They did a substandard job, which basically means that it doesn't work. When they pulled the cable through, they damaged the cable. And when they went, sorry about that, and when they went to power up the cable, they realised there was a break in the cable at multiple locations apparently, which has meant they've had to dig up the road to try and fix it, and they've done that on multiple occasions and been unable to fix it. Now, I bumped into one of the project managers a couple of days ago who informed me that, you know, this time they are pretty certain, or as certain as can be, that they'll solve it once and for all. I'm no engineer, I don't know what the issues were, but the bottom line is that the cable didn't work, and that cable is to address the capacity issues at Mindenhurst. 1,200 new homes there. The existing cable didn't have the capacity to serve all the properties there. A lot of the properties are tripping out on a regular basis and getting power outages. Hopefully this will resolve that problem once and for all, or certainly that's the plan. The disruption has been immense for local residents. I've lost count how many times they've dug up the road since 2022 to now. It's on several occasions, so I can understand how cheesed off local residents are. But one of the bits of feedback that I've had from quite a lot of residents is, well, who's holding those original contractors to account? Well, I can say that it's not taxpayer money that is funding this. It's privately funded by the electricity company SSE. So it's not taxpayer money that is, involved in this project. However, the disruption to local residents has been immense. And unfortunately, there's not a lot the local authority can do to hold them to account on that particular issue, except, myself speaking to the project manager, and I know the Highways Department at Surrey County Council are on their cases to get this resolved once and for all. Hopefully that will be the case, but if I have any other updates, I will let residents know. I'm at Frimley Green Recreation Ground, and I want to talk about the CCTV cameras that have been installed on this building. I've only spotted 2, there might be more, I don't know, but I can only see 2 cameras on the whole of the wreck. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't think that is going to solve the issues of antisocial behaviour. And I certainly don't think it's going to help the residents that surround Frimley Green Recreation Ground. I don't think it's going to help them and the disruption that and the distress that antisocial behaviour causes those residents. I guess it remains to be seen whether the cameras will have an impact, and we'll see this summer, because every year when the weather gets better, there are always issues of antisocial behaviour here. And it's been a problem for as long as I can remember, and certainly as long as residents around here can remember. But like I say, I don't think these cameras are going to solve the problem. They will certainly help, and actually the work to get these cameras installed was started by Max Nelson and Oliver Lewis, who were the previous councillors for Frimley Green. And they were trying to get CCTV installed back then, and these things do take a long time, and fair play to the council for installing them. I'm sure it will help, and it will certainly help protect this asset here, this community asset. I'm not going to go into community assets and that's a whole other, and the fire sale of community assets, that's a whole other conversation. But I really don't think that these cameras are going to do anything to resolve antisocial behaviour at Frimley Green Recreation Ground. Now, what I would appeal to local residents to do, though, because antisocial behaviour really is as well, it is a council matter, but it's also a police matter, especially if there's criminal damage involved. And I think that's the real reason why those cameras have gone in, not to solve antisocial behaviour for residents that surround Frimley Green Recreation Ground, but actually to protect this asset. I think that's what they're really about, rather than solving the problem with antisocial behaviour. But what I would urge local residents to do who are affected by antisocial behaviour, whether it's here at Frimley Green Recreation Ground, one moment, I was going to sneeze then, hay fever's a nightmare at the moment. But yeah, if you're a resident that surrounds Frimley Green Recreation Ground, or anywhere else in the borough for that matter, and you're affected by antisocial behaviour, you should call the police on 101, or their Facebook page. You can direct message them on the Surrey Heath Beat Facebook page, and if they have a resource, they will direct a resource to the area to try and resolve the problem. That's not always possible, but what is very helpful to the police is if there is a pattern of antisocial behaviour, repeat occurrences of it, by residents reporting that to the police, they can then allocate resources accordingly, and on a more sort of regular basis. So I'm a little bit disappointed with these CCTV cameras here. I don't think they go far enough. They're only little cameras. They're only pointing on one particular location. I don't see any on the park. I don't see anywhere else. And antisocial behaviour on this wreck occurs in other locations other than this building. I'm on the Ansell Road which is in Frimley, but it's one of those boundary quirks where it actually forms part of my county council division of Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut. And for probably 18 months or maybe even a bit longer, residents around here have been asking for parking restrictions at this location. I've had lots of emails from local residents about it, and basically I wanted to explain the process of a parking review and why it takes so long and why there is a process. Because, you know, if you think about it, if there's no process whatsoever and councillors have the ultimate powers to just install parking restrictions wherever they see fit, then essentially you're going to have parking restrictions across the whole community and there'll be no on-street parking for anyone. And so it is right that there is a process, and it is a proper process. You know, there's a highway engineer that will come down here, he will observe the traffic movements, pedestrians, and you know, see if there are parking restrictions that would be appropriately applied here to resolve the issue. And that's exactly what's happened here at Ansell Road. And that's why once the report came through, after the highways officer had visited the location and recommended these parking restrictions of double yellow lines, you know, I supported that. I signed it off because it is the county council that has to sign it off before it happens. You know, 18 months, 2 years later, as you can see behind me, the parking restrictions are in. Now, they have missed one part of it. There's a gap where they'd not painted it. And the reason for that is that there was a car parked there on the day they were doing the lining, even though they put notices up. They're going to have to come back and do that, I'm afraid. But they will come back and repaint that at a later date. But yeah, I'm glad that these restrictions have gone in. I think it is appropriate, especially on this busy road, and that is why I signed it off. One other thing I'd like to say about parking reviews is that, you know, anyone can start that process of a parking review, and it's not difficult either. Any resident can do it. You just go on the Surrey County Council website, you fill out a form, and that will then be looked at by the local highways engineer, who will do the parking review to determine whether parking restrictions would be appropriate. That's exactly what happened here. You know, residents had emailed me about that, and in fact, one resident did complete that form themselves on the Surrey County Council website. And yeah, you know, we got the parking review. So if you live anywhere in Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, and you think that parking restrictions close to your property or wherever would help alleviate a particular parking issue, then just go on the Surrey County Council website, search for parking review. You can fill out the form. It's not onerous, takes a few moments, and yeah, that location will be included in the next parking review. They only actually do them once a year, so and it's normally towards the end of the year that they do it. So if you were going to submit a parking review request today, chances are it won't get done until towards the end of this year. And then even if it's determined that parking restrictions would be appropriate, and even if I sign that off, it could be another year before they actually put in the parking restrictions, because they have to advertise it to the community, they have to consult the community, get feedback before they then do the work. So yeah, if you want a parking review done, just go on the County Council website. I am aware there's one or two election political operators that are running around initiating parking reviews and all the rest of it, and that's fine. But like I say, anyone can do it, and it's very easy to do. That's my video update complete. I hope everybody gets to enjoy some of the nice weather over the bank holiday weekend and manages to get some rest and spend some time with your families and all the rest of it. I know that's what I'm going to do. Probably going to go on some long walks and maybe a couple of bike rides. But whatever it is that you choose to do, I hope you have a nice weekend. If there's anything at all that you want me to get involved with as County Councillor for Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, just drop me an email. I'll overlay my email address on this video, and I'll be in touch.